monsters and ghosts to otherworldly beings. Join the Xplorers as they venture into the darkest realms, seeking the truth to what goes bump in the night.
Good evening and welcome to Xplorers Seekers of the Truth. Tonight's going to be a little bit different than normal. We kind of want to give you guys an update on our plans for 2018 and moving forward. We are really working on a very, very special guest, hopefully, for our next episode.
With any luck, yes.
Yeah, with any luck. If not, we're going to call the convenience store in that town and get somebody from there to talk to us.
Yeah. But we're not giving away the town yet.
Yeah. Looking at you, Mount Carmel.
No, not Mount Carmel. Yeah, like Chad said, tonight's show is going to be it's going to be a short one. It's a late one. It's kind of off. We weren't sure if we wanted to have the show tonight or not. We had planned on doing the show, but we changed formats, so we're going to be pushing the show that was supposed to be tonight to hopefully next week. But tonight we're just going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be up to in 2018, and also if anybody wants to, like we always say, there's different ways for everyone to reach us. You could reach us at our website, www.explorersgroup.com. You could check us out on Twitter at Explorers Group, and Facebook, which you're watching there now, is facebook.com/Explorers. And I still can't say that right. But anyway, you could also get in touch with us through the chat underneath our little show preview on Facebook. And whatever you comment on there, we'll see through BeLive. So whatever you say on Facebook will come through on BeLive. So we'll be able to see your comments and respond. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be talking about a little bit of what our plans are for 2018 with the show, with the group, with investigating, what some things we have lined up. We've been doing some research locally around my area on the cryptozoological side. We're also looking into some fairly large locations in Pennsylvania and down in Virginia where Chad's based. I don't know if we're going to give the names of those locations yet, but we'll give a little bit of description on some of them that we're planning on getting into. Some places we've investigated before, some of them are brand new, so we're really excited about those. But also we want to put it out there to anybody listening, which right now we have one person listening, better than none, I guess, for a spur of the moment show. We want to put it out there if anybody knows anyone, or you yourself, if you're having any kind of odd happenings in your home or place of business, or you know of a place, drop us a line either at our website, through Facebook, whatever, and let us know what you're experiencing, and especially if you're within the Pennsylvania area or Virginia, I guess, Alta Vista, Virginia, where Chad's at. We'll try our best to either help you out, figure out what it might be, or if it's really, concerning, we could conduct an investigation, and we could keep it confidential unless you want us to broadcast it. It's completely your discretion. But let us know if you have anything going on. We'd like to talk to you about that and possibly investigate to try and help you out, or at least try and help you help confirm the experiences you're having. But like I said before, and if there's anything you want to talk about tonight, we could also take some time to talk about ghost stories. So if anybody had any kind of personal experiences or anything like that, drop us a message on our comments, and we'll try and talk about that. We were hoping to have some people write in and give us some stories, and we could actually bring you on the show live, but I don't know how easy that would be. I guess if you message us, we could maybe send you the show link and get you on, but it's very spur of the moment, so I don't blame you if you can't do it. But anyways, Chad, do you want to talk about one of the places we're planning on going for 2018?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I can talk
I'll take
about
the
one of them at least.
Yeah, don't give the name away though.
Yeah, I'm not going to give names. I'm sorry, folks.
We'll reveal that once we like right before we do the investigation.
Yeah,
Some
once we
doing live investigations. Some of them we're just going to be investigating privately and not have a live feed at all. So, anyways,
Yeah.
go ahead before I cut you off again.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah, one of the locations we're going to be investigating, hopefully in the year of 2008, maybe at this year, is a 32 room mansion. It's over 20,000 square foot of space. It is basically kind of follows every other investigation of an old house we've done. It's Native American land, Civil War, stuff from the Civil War happening around it. Basically has been used as a hospital, an orphanage. I mean, it basically really fits a pattern I'm seeing with what we do when it comes to larger properties.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, and currently it is part of a college in the Virginia area, and like I said, it is 32 rooms. I am kind of excited about a place this big. I'm also kind of trying to figure out how we cover as much as possible.
Right, because we did the Haldeman outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. What was it, last April? This past April?
Just past April, yeah.
Yeah. Which we thought it was going to be a little bit warmer because the place doesn't have heat or anything. It was freezing cold. I was sick as a dog during that investigation. We had so many setbacks, but you know what? We got through, and we actually did get a pretty interesting EVP. We had some personal experiences there that were interesting, but that's besides the point. We could talk about that later. But to Chad's point, the size of the place that we're going to be going to, honestly, I think it would almost kind of dwarf the Haldeman, and the Haldeman is massive.
Yeah, I mean, square footage wise, I would say the Haldeman's probably around 5,000 square foot.
I would say at least, yeah. That place is enormous.
Yeah, I mean, and it's only one. Well, I mean, technically, I guess if you count the kitchen slash dining room, then the other room, the two front rooms. I forget how many rooms I was just at.
Giant foyer, which went up three levels.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not 32 rooms in size, but I mean, and we saw at the Haldeman how crazy big, spaces can kind of get a little overwhelming at times.
Oh yeah.
But I'm excited about it. It's one of those things where, 32 rooms, it does not mean that all 32 rooms are active or have activity or, are necessarily going to be covered during the investigation. So it's not like we're going to spend 10 minutes in each room and try to hit all 32 of them. There may be specific areas that we're going to focus.
Well, that's like the what we did at the Haldeman. That's why we like to meet with the hosts of the properties and have them basically do a walkthrough with us and kind of break down where the hot spots are, where any areas are that we need to put any kind of particular interest and focus to. It really helps us in the whole investigation process because, like Chad said, we're not going to do 32 rooms in a gigantic mansion and spend X amount of time in each just to say that we covered them. I mean, we could pass through each room or see if we notice anything out of the ordinary. We could do our initial sweeps. But I think when you deal with a place that big, you're definitely going to have to narrow it down to the known hotspots. And I mean, the best thing to do is take, the word of advice from the people who are there all the time and that experience it all the time. So, but one of the things we like to do is the initial sweeps with our K2 meters and other devices to see if there's anything really throwing us off or throwing off the meters, to see, all right, well, maybe there's, a power line in a certain area. Paul wants to be, yeah, absolutely. You could be part of one of our investigations, especially when we get into the buildings like the one we're talking about that are so big. We'd almost have to have the extra manpower to kind of aid in covering such large areas. But we have to be mindful of who's where and who's doing what, so that way other voices aren't going to like taint the
audio and
yeah.
We've experienced that at a few locations where older buildings generally tend not to have a good soundproofing.
Joe, we promised you as well, Joe.
Yeah,
you're welcome, Paul. But go ahead, Chad. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But you're the orphanage in Gettysburg is
a mouse could fart upstairs and you would hear it in the basement.
Yeah, and catch it on an EP, or on the recorder. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Les could whisper on the third floor, and I could be in the basement and clearly hear and be able to answer him by whispering back to him. That's how thin the floors are.
Well, brother, using me as an example for that's kind of bad because I was born without the capacity to whisper.
Well, that's why I said whisper. I was hoping, maybe. But yeah, that's one of the things we always got to think about. But one of the things that, since we do have a lot of friends who are, interested in coming along, mm-hmm. I know one of the things that Les and I have really been discussing and even working with some of these venues is us actually hosting, events at some of these venues through 2018 and 2019. Now, you got to understand, as much as we'd love to let everybody come and do this with us for free, it doesn't work that way. We
not that we're getting paid, mind you. So it's not a money issue on our end. It's the people venue hosting the events. Yeah, we're just the
faces
people, I guess. Yeah. We're not the hosts.
Yeah. But, well, we may be the host. We're not the venue, though.
That's
making the actual money.
Yeah.
But there are a few locations that we are actively discussing this with. One of them one of them is looking like an October venue, closer to Halloween. One of them is looking at possibly in July, early July, doing an event with us.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the year, we may, one of the other venues, now this is a little bit further south for everybody from up there, but one of the other venues down here may be interested in doing an event that we host, or we may be part of the group that's kind of leading the investigations. It may not just be us, it may be some other people along with us, but each of us taking, different phases of the investigations. So Les, you got a location on your mind you want to talk about?
Yeah, and it's not on the paranormal side. It's and I don't want to give away locations just because I don't want to run the risk of anybody tainting it. Let's just say it's going to be on the cryptozoological side. It's going to be what I'm hoping to be is a weekend to a 4-day long event, not event, but investigation, if you will. I don't know, research.
An extravaganza?
Yeah, no. I want to try to keep it as low key as possible, but I actually would appreciate some extra bodies along on this investigation. It is fairly local, and it's going to be basically a 4-night or 4-day, 3-night camp out. We're gonna have a buttload of equipment. We're most likely going to have to use some ATVs to get out into some of the areas, and unless you want to hike out, close to 10 miles. It doesn't matter. I hike out there all the time. So if my fat ass could do it, anybody can. But
Are you going back to Brokeback Mountain?
yes.
Return to Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah. But no, we could get out there and I mean, I'm gonna have to use the ATV to get some of the gear out there because there's no way I'm gonna be able to lug it all out. But it should be a really great time. I got some new equipment that I'm hopefully going to be ordering soon that I want to use while we are out there. I just gotta drag Chad up from VA to PA and get him up here, and we got another team member that wants to partake. So yeah, it should be a good time, and it's going to be in deep, thick woods. So I'm really looking forward to it. So there's a couple locations. It's a multi-location thing. So one is going to be in a really cool section. One's going to be in another really cool section. And it's all based off of reports that we had come in. And we won't quit you either, Joe. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool, I hope. But I wanted to do that earlier this month, but the weather, the Pennsylvania weather, just isn't cooperating. 1 minute we're in the 80s, the next minute we're down in the teens. So I like the cold, but I'm not going to be out there in freezing cold temperatures because the one time I did an investigation, and it was with the Keystone Bigfoot Project, and it was so unbelievably cold that it actually froze and broke one of my trail cams, and I've learned my lesson since then because they're not exactly cheap. But that's one thing that I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping for a early spring investigation to possibly early summer where it's not too unbearably hot and buggy. So I'm hoping to get out there in the spring and see what we could find.
Yeah, also one thing I'd like to, kind of ask some of the folks that watch or listen to us on this. If you ever run across stuff like trail cams, super cheap at, some store, something like that, shoot Les or I a message, because it might be something that we'd be interested in picking up, because we do use them not just for the cryptozoology end of it, we use it for paranormal also. And it never hurts to have extra trail cams. Like we could, use them, just naturally in areas where we are thinking about researching or checking out, just to give us background on what animals are in that area.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, I know you'd like to have the best equipment, but it's not necessarily always a necessity to have the state of the art. If a deer blows out its left nostril, it tells you on the trail cam.
I have those.
Yeah. But I mean, at some points, it with the fact that we do, some of these trail cams, I mean, we've left them out for 2-3 weeks at a time.
Well, remember the one before you had moved, we had that one out there for over a month.
Yeah.
Remember we opened it up and all the water poured out? That scared me, but the thing still worked. Still works.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's always like one of those things, if you guys see stuff, even if you see it online, you think, hey, Les and Chad might be interested in this, or hey, I want to know, even if it's something you want to know what it does.
Yeah. Shoot
drop us a message. We'll if it's something we've never seen before, we'll take a look at it, because it may be something that we would want to purchase eventually.
Mm-hmm. And we've used so many different pieces of equipment, from cameras to EVP recorders, laser lights, like POV glasses, action cameras, you name it, we've probably used it. Bionic ears, we have and use. So yeah, if you're curious about something, you want to know how something works, how well it works. Actually, there's a guy who's in the paranormal realm up in Connecticut that I'm kind of friends with, and I talked to. He was interested in a piece of equipment, and he actually asked me for, we kind of conversed about how good or how not good it is, and he was, appreciative of my advice, and I think it helped steer him in the right direction. So you know, I love talking about equipment. I love reviewing equipment, and I love using equipment. I'm kind of techie, so I kind of like that stuff. But yeah, I'm always here to help anybody. Actually, Joe, you know, you hit me up the other night with a picture that you were questioning. So
Yeah.
always here to help anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can always send us something. Um, just remember, if you send us something like a picture or audio or anything like that, we're just going to give you our honest opinion. It's not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. It's not meant to aggravate you. I've at times have made the mistake of suggesting things to fellow investigators on possible evidence, and people have taken it personal. And I have a group of investigators over in Germany. They're Americans that live in Germany, that I'm on Twitter with a lot. And you know they they're very anti-tech, and they kind of feel like, oh well, we shouldn't use this, we shouldn't use that, and at times they use words wrong. Like debunked. They debunked this piece of equipment. No, you showed a fault or a false positive that was created by this equipment or something around this equipment. It doesn't mean you've debunked it.
Mm-hmm.
But just remember, it's nothing personal. If you send it to us and say, what do you think? And Les looks at it, I look at it, and we're like, kind of looks like a lens flare. It looks like a bug. It's a reflection on a piece of glass.
Mm-hmm.
It's pareidolia, which is your brain just trying to make something up. I posted probably 3-4 years ago a picture that I had cropped, and it looks like a Bigfoot head, and it's a black and white picture, and it looks like a Bigfoot head. And when I posted it, people were like, oh, I see the head there. I see that. And then I posted the actual original picture uncropped, and I'm like, look, if you're looking for Bigfoot, you're going to see Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever feel like, oh, I asked them a question and they said it was this. We're just giving you an opinion. We are by far not experts in this. I was talking to one of our fellow investigators the other day, and he had said like, oh, you and Les are so well versed and stuff, and I'm like, really? It comes from trial and error, reading, watching documentaries, studying history, and piecing it together, because there is not one answer fits all in this, because Les could see something with his knowledge of photography and videography. I will see something different with my knowledge of investigations and investigational techniques. So it's one of those things. Don't ever feel like it's a personal thing. You'll see us on investigations. I think I have the greatest piece of evidence ever, and I'll go, Les, listen to this, look at this, whatever. And Les will look at it and be like, or listen to it and be like, I don't hear it. I don't see it. What are you trying to tell me this is? So don't ever take it that it's something against you or personal. It's just, it's our opinion. We're going to give it if you ask for it.
Right. Well, case in point, I had somebody reach out to me, a girl that you and I had gone to high school with, and I like her very much, and I have nothing against her, like you said. And she had sent me a piece of audio that somebody had captured inadvertently. I guess they were going to take a video, and they caught this piece of audio, and they couldn't explain it. It wasn't anybody around them, and it wasn't either of them, and it said something. But to me, it sounded like almost like when they started recording, they caught part of what was being said, and the end I heard as what did I say? Like we are defeated, or we've defeated
or something.
Yeah. And that's what I heard. And I ran it through some, programs that I had. I sped it up. I slowed it down. I did this, that way, every way from Sunday. And I heard we defeated. And I had said that to the person that wanted me to review it, and I guess they had their own opinion on what they thought it said, and they wouldn't tell me what they thought it was, but they kept trying to change my I guess what I thought it was, and I heard what I heard. It's one of those situations where if it's not like a real solid like class A EVP, it's completely subjective and it's up to scrutiny by anybody who listens to it. So everybody's going to almost formulate a different phrase or words or sounds. And, I wasn't trying to be mean or anything, and she accepted what I had to say, and she was appreciative of, my 2 cents. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's just my opinion. She asked me, I gave my opinion, and no harm, no foul. But like Chad said, sometimes it's especially when you're dealing with other investigators, when you're working with people who are interested, but yet they don't know enough, and they come to you. He and I have been doing this since '96, give or take, and we've lived together in a house that had some absolutely insane activity. We've experienced a lot together. We've investigated a lot together. We've reviewed a lot of things together. So we feel we're not experts, but we've done enough to kind of get an understanding of what certain things sound like or what certain things could be, kind of like with the spirit boxes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like some people try to, oh well, it's very easy to debunk something, to cause or say that this is a false positive. But Les and I have kind of played with it enough that we can almost hear the difference in the quality of the voices that are coming through. You got to figure radio is produced. It's digitally produced. So that audio is at a certain level. And then there's almost a distinct vocal level that you kind of don't get on production, produced radio. Even cheap, local stations are produced, the filters and stuff like that are involved. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff over the years that, and Les and I will be the first ones to admit we've done investigations and looked at something, thought this, did our research, and after years of having it, looked at it and went, oh, yeah, that's just this. We finally figured out what it is. Because nothing, like that's one thing I always love is, oh, this person's an expert in this field of, paranormal, an expert in paranormal or cryptozoology. You can be an expert in the legend and folklore of this and the, the pseudo related parts of it. But there's nobody that's an expert in paranormal evidence. There's people who are really good that are experts in, videography and photography and understand the coding of a photo to see if there is alterations, if there's alterations to the video. But there's nobody who's an expert in the paranormal. You can do it a lot. I breathe. I'm not an expert in breathing.
Right. And to this day, nobody has concrete evidence of the existence of apparitions or ghosts or anything like that. Nobody has concrete evidence of the existence of a Bigfoot or any of the other cryptozoological creatures like the Mothman, like Chupacabra and stuff like that. There's been plenty of eyewitnesses, plenty of data that could point to the possibility, but until we actually have a physical creature or have proven the existence of spirits and stuff like that, I mean, it's just you can't be an expert at that. It's just
I think you and
Huh?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. You go.
You and I were talking about it last night. Like on the Bigfoot end.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody brought in a body of a Bigfoot, that's always where's the body? That's where the true evidence will come from.
Right.
If you brought in a body, I would say you'd bring in 10 scientists. 4 scientists are going to look at it and go, there's your proof Bigfoot exists.
Yeah.
4 of them are going to go, we need to run more tests. I'm not going to say that's really Bigfoot. It could be a lot of things.
Yeah. Unless it's right underneath their nose on the table.
No, I think even then they would argue it because they would need that more testing because it could be a bear. Well, we're just not sure.
Right.
And then you'd have the 2 scientists, biologists that would look at it and go, I'm looking right at it. I've touched it. I've cut it open. I've dissected a piece of it. I've run genetic tests. I still don't believe what I'm looking at. And they would walk out of the room and say, I've looked at it. I've examined it. I've run my specialty on it. And I still don't believe in Bigfoot, even though I've done all this work on one.
Right.
There would be 4 people. There would be 4 scientists, biologists, and all that would look at it and go, we need to run all these tests to make sure this isn't just a hairy person or a feral person that happens to be 7 foot tall and 3 foot at the chest. And
yeah.
Well, paranormal evidence. The reason paranormal evidence isn't acceptable, or alleged evidence of paranormal isn't acceptable, is because it's not reproducible.
Right.
Science, you need to be able to reproduce it in a lab when it comes to stuff like the paranormal. Well, the problem is, unless one of you guys dies and before you die you say, look guys, I'm going to come back and let you guys know I'm back, and we're going to go and go to this university, and you're going to tell me to bang on the desk 3 times, and I'm going to do it, and then every time a group comes in I'll do it again, and I'll set off all these meters. We'll never be able to reproduce it on demand. So it'll never really be provable or provable. I don't even know if that's a word. Not sure. But you know what I mean? Like I don't think even with the presentation of evidence at times there's things people see on video live in front of them. And to this day, they're not exactly sure what happened.
Right.
They still debate the Kennedy assassination. They debate, Hitler being dead. There were people that claimed to have seen the body, buried the body, redug up the body, burned the body a second time, buried the body in front of a crematory. There's people that say they did all that. There's still people that say he was in Argentina and Brazil during the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole thing. I think even with evidence provided, I think people would still have a time accepting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I need your opinion, Les.
Okay.
Okay. Good times, bad times. You know the song?
No.
Okay, well, that's not going to work then. It goes, good times, bad times, I've had my share. Woman left home with a brown-eyed man, I still don't seem to care.
Well, I know one thing, you shouldn't give up your day job. But
what, as a lounge singer?
For a singing career.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know that song, but what do you is my opinion based off that song?
Well, the song is what I need the opinion of.
All right.
Because the original is a Led Zeppelin song, and then Godsmack covered it. So I was going to look at your opinion on the Led Zeppelin original, which I'm not sure it's the actual original. It's the first one I ever heard, or the Godsmack version. I think our friendship would have a lot to do with this.
Yeah, I would have to probably go with the Godsmack version, and this is probably going to get me in some hot water, but I was never a Zeppelin fan.
Okay, good. That's why we are friends. I have never, and honestly, there are some great Led Zeppelin songs. Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not
I just
knocking
never,
them as musicians
yeah, I
or
just never got into.
vocalists but people put Led Zeppelin on this weird plane of like the greatest rock band ever.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so revolutionary and all this stuff. And I listened to all their music, and then I listened to the contemporary music from that time frame,
Mm-hmm.
and it all sounds the same. I don't see. I actually had this conversation one time with Ken. I think while he was at the radio station yet, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, Led Zeppelin is not this like world's greatest band, and everybody makes them out to be so good. And I'm like, at that point, Nirvana. Yeah, this was already late 99, 2000, 2005. Um, you know, to me, Nirvana had a bigger impact on music.
Yeah.
They completely changed what was considered quality, like good music.
Hmm.
To me, Led Zeppelin always sounded like every other band, The Who and everything else. All now, see, I'm a bigger Who fan because I actually like their music more. But
I don't know, man. I would go Godsmack.
yeah, I would honestly. It's a better version. It's heavier. It's
Mm-hmm.
more that Godsmack like
That growly, yeah.
yeah that energy to it. And not that the original's bad. I like the original too, but the Godsmack version of it to me is a lot better.
Mm. Well, I would. You got my vote. So, Godsmack it is. So I want to talk about. I want to get back to talking about our upcoming investigation. So we talked about the one we're hoping for in Virginia. We talked about the well, not the hopeful, but the planned spring, early summer camp out, which would be a 4-day extravaganza, as you put it, right? Uh,
Extravaganza.
yeah, danza, yeah, yeah. Who's the boss? But I also want to talk about, like, I guess we could just name this one because it's so freaking common, and we basically live in Gettysburg. We want to hit up the Jenny Wade house because that's actually, without actually doing a tour, that's one place we haven't investigated privately yet. We've done the orphanage, we've done
Daniel
the
Stewart.
yes, God, I can never remember that.
Well, I always get it mixed up. Is it the Daniel Stewart or the David Stewart? I think it's the Daniel Stewart.
Yeah, I remember it was Daniel, but I can never remember the last name.
Yeah.
Crap, what was the other place that we did down there? I can't remember. We did parts of the battlefield during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember.
We did a little bit on the bridge, out by the bridge.
Yep, Sachs Bridge. We did
Sachs
that.
Bridge.
Which kind of stank because when the first night we went out there, remember, we were so pumped, ready to go, and it was overloaded with like freaking teeny boppers doing seances on the bridge and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my God, get out of here.
Yeah, that is honestly one of the hard things about some of the more public locations in town is getting time where it's not a Twilight glittery vampire fest on on that bridge.
Mm-hmm. I do remember we were on the back end of Devil's Den, which you, me, and Russ had gone down there the last time or the first time we were down there,
Yeah,
and with the three of us. I was down there previously with a group I used to belong to, Prey, and we were heading down that way, and we were doing some EVPs and stuff, and we actually got some really interesting EVPs down there. It was it sounded like soldiers marching and like I guess their mess kit or whatever, like metal like cups or something clanking and almost like change, like somebody walking with a lot of change in their pocket, like a ch-ch-ch. And then we had asked the question, who under whose command do you serve or something like that, and they said Lee. It was clear as day, Lee. So that was cool. And I know we had tried to do some EVPs down there. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything while we were down there, but that was a pretty cool spot. But I know Jenny Wade is well, the Jenny Wade house that they're calling the Jenny Wade house. I definitely want to do a private investigation. Oh, the train! Didn't we try to get down to the train thing?
We've tried to book the train depot area.
I couldn't remember. Oh, and Farnsworth. I want to get into Farnsworth too, but I
Yeah.
think for 2018, the Jenny Wade house is on the docket for this year. We do have another location in Virginia. Do we want to talk about that one? Because I mean,
Oh, well, I have another one in Gettysburg, actually, also.
which one?
That would be a private residence, but it's a Civil War era home.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, that'd be two. It'd be the guy who has relations down there that I know, and the person that you're working on too. So
Yeah.
I'm not giving names out on that just because I don't think it's right without
Yeah.
actually, confirming it with them. But
Yeah.
there's going to be some private investigations. I mean, for residentials, and we're also hitting some of the bigger spots that are the more the quote touristy sections, like the Jenny Wade. I know we want to get in the Farnsworth, which I would. My plan for that is to book the room, one of the B&B rooms in the Farnsworth, set up our gear in there, and then we could do the Jenny Wade, throughout part of that weekend. Hopefully, bike week, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, bike week. But I'd love to do the Farnsworth as well. So I think that's one of the that's on the list. The camp out, the place down in Virginia that you had mentioned. I don't want to give that name away right now, but do you want to talk about the other place in Virginia, the real big one?
Which real big one? The super lot of land or the other just big building?
The sanitarium.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I can kind of talk about that a little bit. We are planning on doing St. Albans Sanitarium. I'll give the name away. If you're really going to drive to Radford to mess with us, have fun, because I've been to Radford. There is nothing there.
Well, not only that, but the place is a private facility that is secured. So
Yeah.
if you're not there with us, you're most likely going to go to jail. So
Yeah. Also, like I said, I've been to Radford. There's really no reason to do this. Other
and they
than
don't know. Nobody knows when we're going. So you know
Yeah.
what I mean. It's not like we can't talk about it. But
yeah.
the other places I don't want to give up though, just because I don't want anybody tainting our possible investigate or evidence.
Yeah.
But talk about St. Albans. This is something I'm really really excited about, and I think when we do this, we're definitely going to have to bring in some help from some of the other investigator friends of ours, and I think they're going to have to lend a hand on this. And we have some good people lined up that are interested in going along. So talk about St. Albans and give people a little bit of history on that, if you will.
Well, as I said earlier, for the people that were actually on earlier, and then the few people I've joined since, basically this again fits the same pattern of large places we end up going to. It started out as Indian land. There was an Indian massacre on or about the property. There was a Civil War battle fought were the cannons that fired on the town of Radford, which I forget what the actual name of Radford was at that time. It wasn't Radford. They fired from the cannons. The Union fired the cannons from this hill where the sanitarium actually sits. It then later became a Lutheran boys' school. Then it was followed up shortly after the boys' school closed. It reopened as a sanitarium. It was one of the first sanitariums to use electroconvulsive therapy. I think they also were on the cutting edge of frontal lobotomies. And the sanitarium itself had closed down, and the facility was kept open as a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the hospital stayed open until, I want to say, the early 90s. It may have been mid 90s that it closed. But it was open as a regular hospital for, I think, about 20 some years. And, any hospital, just a regular hospital, you figure people die there all the time. So there's some stuff going on there. But there also is possibly, at least possibly, one confirmed murder that neither took place on the property or inside of the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Gina Renee Hall. I do not believe Mrs. Hall's body has ever been recovered. Her car was found on the property, and the last person she saw, the last person she was seen with in public, was a former employee in the maintenance department of the sanitarium. So, and they found her blood inside the building.
Well, regardless, that's gonna that has all the hallmarks of a pretty good haunting. So, and I just think those sort of places in general, the asylums and stuff like that, and the old hospitals, and even as the boys' school, I mean, even back in the day, like in the 1800s and stuff, those boys' schools and whatnot had some really nasty stuff happen in them. I mean, little kids were abused and tortured, and some of them were killed, and a lot of negative energy throughout the times of the occupancy, and that I'm sure carries over. And like you said, you have the Native American history on that, so I'm sure there's stuff related to that. And then like I said, with the asylum, the oh God, those poor unfortunate souls that had to go through all that, and like the experimentation that was done on a lot of the people in those places, and whatnot. It's just
this place. I mean, when you talk about experimentation on mental patients, insulin coma therapy, electroconvulsive therapy, and hydroshock therapy. Honestly, if you really want to see what that would be like, you can look up on YouTube electroconvulsive therapy and watch a video. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure it was shot at St. Albans, but there is actually a good chance that it was. And it's an early instructional kind of video on it, a movie basically back then. But you talk about like the school, this school was noted. Now, there's no confirmed deaths of any students on property when it was a school, but I'm going to read you a piece of a quote about how bad bullying was at this school. It's noted by the editor of the yearbook, which was a staff member, that E. Blackburn Runyon did not return after Christmas, much to the sorrow as it put a stop to the football games on the terrace, in which he figured prominently as the football.
What? Read that again?
The whole thing?
No, about the football. I don't understand the football thing confused me.
Okay. He did not return after Christmas, much to the sorrows as it put a stop to the football game on the terrace in which he figured prominently as the football.
Ah.
Yeah, so basically, this is how bad bullying was at this school. A student, okay, this is going to be politically incorrect for nowadays, but all of us played, smear the queer,
Yeah.
basically. So basically, this kid was the permanent football for a game of that.
Oh, Jesus. So they basically used him as the ball and just beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, yeah, and this is in the yearbook. This isn't like a student later wrote an expose about the school. This is actually the 1904 yearbook editor noted this in the yearbook.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's definitely take away the the Draper Meadow Massacre in 1775.
Mm-hmm.
You have in 1865 the battle. It was actually called New Bern and Cloyd's Mountain was the name of the area at the time. Central Depot, which is now the town of Radford. So I mean, you already got a Native American massacre, Civil War battle. Then you add a very highly competitive Lutheran boys' school where bullying was basically rewarded. And then you open up in 1916 a institution for the mentally, as they put it, lunatics, basically, back then. Not to criticize these people now, but that's, I mean, what they basically say is they were lunatics.
Yeah.
I know of at least, I believe, 21 suicides that occurred while it was a sanitarium.
Jeez.
I mean, they have a bathroom that's called the suicide bathroom.
I was just going to ask you about that. I was going to say, isn't this the place with the suicide bathroom? Yeah.
Yeah, this place, I mean, it definitely has a history. And this is not just, folklore. There's been 21 suicides on this property. In my research that I've done so far, I can actually find the newspaper articles for some of these suicides.
Mm-hmm.
And being that it was a state, overseen medical facility, the rest of them are on government records. So, it's definitely got some history. I mean, at least 21 suicides. The murder of Gina Renee Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, she is actually said to be in the bowling alley. That's one of the area hotspots in there. Because they've gotten some EVPs with parts of her name and stuff about murder and blood and stuff like that. Like I said, her blood was found inside the building in the time frame that it happened. That was in the 1980s. 1980 that happened. Yeah, I mean, it's considered one of the, this is what every place always says. We are the most haunted, or considered one of the most haunted places on the East Coast. As voted by whatever, metric they want to use to claim to be the most haunted location. It's also available for hosting dinner parties and stuff like that.
Oh God! Well, I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to that one, and this I think would be this spot in particular. Now, obviously, we're going to be investigating the hot spots. We're going to be putting most of our attention and most of our equipment into those areas. But being it's such a large facility, I mean, it was, it's how big is that place? It's a couple of acres or a few acres in size, right?
I'm not sure on the acreage. I mean, it's a big H built facility. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's a large couple floor facility plus basement and stuff like that. And the property itself, um, I mean, on the outside of the building, there are paranormal events that have been witnessed and talked about, be it from the soldiers being seen, the smell of cannon fire, the rumble in the early morning fog, a rumble of what seems like cannon shot as it goes off. I mean, it's
Jeez.
also an area where the fog rolls in unnaturally quite
Hmm.
often.
Hmm. Well, this, to my point, I think this is going to be one of those situations or investigations where the trail cams will come into good use because rather than leaving static cams in random areas, just filming footage that would have to sit and go through minute by minute, I want to take the trail cams and put them out in different areas and those things go off from anything. Shadows could trigger them. Fluctuations in light could trigger them. Little tiny branches, like a freaking. I had a bug set one of them off the one time. Uh, so I really that's why I value the trail cams, not just for use, for trying to catch animals outside. They actually are very helpful when used in the paranormal realm as well because like I said, they're triggered by almost anything. And the beauty of them is they only go off when they're triggered. So you go back to look at it and it might have 4 or 5 video clips on there. And they're usually, and most of them are like 180 seconds, so like 3 minutes long. So it's a lot easier to sit there and go through a few 3 minute clips to look for something than to sit there and go and scour through hours of static cam footage only to come up with nothing. So I mean we're gonna have static cams running the entire duration of the investigation, but we're going to try and keep them limited. We're going to have POV glasses on us, so that will be replacing the handhelds that we usually take around. Um, well, I mean, and depending on how many people we have come down, we'll have we could outfit other people with hand cams as well. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a difficult investigation. I don't anticipate this one being easy at all. But I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So
actually, if anybody's interested in just kind of getting an idea of the location itself, they have a pretty cool website and they actually have an evidence page. So it is ST, so for Saint, abbreviate Saint with no period, Albans Virginia.com. You can go to the /evidence /, which will show you a lot of the EVPs and some of the photos and the actual video of the mist that is kind of odd.
mhm.
Um, but if you go to their actual webpage, you can see some of the information on the location history. You can see some photos of the different area, like the boiler room, the bowling alley, the electroshock therapy rooms,
Yep.
the suicide bathroom, which I actually just pulled up a photo while you were talking
Mhm.
of, and I actually think my old house had the exact same bathroom that this suicide bathroom has. Kind of looks like.
That's
Um,
scary.
yeah, that's not a good thing. It's that old tile and stuff.
Mhm.
And I actually just opened up one of the images because I have my big screen over here, so you'll see me look at it every so often.
Yeah.
And not that the image is anything spectacular. It's in photographs.
Mhm.
It's called Female Spirit, and just a picture of this place and one of the rooms. And I'm not even really going to get into the whole thing. Oh, alcoholic war. Okay, it really doesn't say. Um, you just look at a picture like of this place, and you're like, yeah, that place definitely has that look to it, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll share a story about it. In fact, when I worked for the newspaper about a year ago, I was still working with them, and I was the circulation home delivery sales manager, whatever the hell my job title was. I mean, it changed weekly. Um, but I was in charge of some of the promos that the newspaper did. So I figured I love haunted places. It's going into Halloween. I want to do this promo. So I spent a year getting St. Albans to sign on to this. So they gave me 50 tickets to what they do at a haunted house every year. So I could give them away for free. I gave a couple to a coworker of mine who her son, her husband, one not sure if her daughter went. I don't know if she was old enough at the time or not. So it's a family group that goes. Ow.
What's wrong?
I don't know. Whatever you just did jacked my ear.
I unjacked my phone.
Oh, that's what it actually buzzed. That's why I kind of jumped a little. Sorry. But they were going through, they have a mad scientist lab in the haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend's son is walking through it, and he kind of staggers a little bit. And he's not a little guy. Like, he's one of those guys you kind of look at me like, if I punch him, I gotta really hope I knock him out, because this is gonna be a fight otherwise.
Right.
So I mean, he's a pretty big boy, and he's still young, 20-something-year-old. And the guy working in the thing saw it happen, and he gets to the end of it, and they have like a gift shop, the typical, you went on our haunted house, so now we got to sell you a shirt that says you survived our haunted house, and a coffee mug. I mean, let's face it, Eastern State Penitentiary does that, St. Albans does that, everyone that does the haunted house basically has the gift shop at the end. Disney World does that. So they get to the end of it, and there's county sheriff's deputies that work basically doing security for the location. And the deputy is standing in the gift shop, and he looks at me and goes, "Who hit you, son?" And my friend, the kid, says, "Nobody. Why?" He's like, "Your face doesn't hurt." He goes, "Yeah, it's been like kind of burning, and it felt like I got slapped earlier, but there was nobody there." And the guy, the sheriff's deputy, is like, "Son, you should see your face. There is a handprint on your face." So they get the guy. Now there's cameras actually in the haunted house. So they pulled the film real quick, and they got the actor who's inside that room. And the actor's like, "Oh yeah, I saw him come in." He goes, "I saw him stagger a little bit." And he goes, "And then all of a sudden I saw the print on his face start to welt up."
Right.
They said for 45 minutes to an hour after they left. Now you got to realize this is October. It is cold out. I mean, they're wearing beanies and big jackets to go through this. His face in the photo, you can see a palm print on the side of his face, and you can see that it was red and hot. Like the skin.
I remember you showing me that picture, and it was undeniably like a slap.
Yeah. He actually wants to come back with us because he's an EMS. He does EMS and firefighter work here in the state of Virginia, and he wants to go back and kind of ask why they did it to him.
Yeah,
like why him of all people going through. Now I'm sure he's not the only one that's ever happened to.
Right,
but I mean, he's definitely inquisitive. I mean, his mom's been an investigator for old school investigator years ago, so he's has the same kind of interest as we do. So he's asked like, "Hey, can I come with you guys when you guys do it?" So he's definitely somebody that has a vested interest in going back there.
Cool.
But I mean,
more the merrier in that instance, because that place is going to be huge. We're going to need people.
Yeah.
Hopefully the wives go along too, because we're going to need them as well. So
Yeah, I don't know if my wife will do that. She remember her and her kids rule. With anywhere there was kids kept, she can't do.
Ah, well then good. Then I can leave my kids with her, and
Oh yeah,
then
she'll
Leslie
watch
can
the
come with
girls.
us.
Yeah, she's already said like when we go to Gettysburg, if Leslie wants to come with us and you guys don't mind her watching the girls at night, she'll gladly take the girls and let us go out.
I'd trust her as much as I would trust their mother. So that says a lot because I actually do trust her a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's definitely a location. I mean, we're looking at a lot of bigger locations this year. I know we're even looking at the Scourge of Society. I wish I still had the background from when I worked at the newspaper. The background on my computer
Hmm.
was the newspaper from the Phoenix. I think it was the Phoenix Mercury Times or something like that.
Yeah.
Phoenix Mercury Times. It might not have been that. Phoenixville might have been the thing I was looking for, but it was the Pennhurst. My
Oh yeah.
background on my computer was the Pennhurst
Well,
news
Penhurst
front
Penhurst
page.
may not be on the 2018 radar, maybe 2019, but family members of mine have a pretty solid connection uh, to people that I don't think they own it. I think somebody's a manager there, so I don't know, but they're working on getting us in there, and I'm hoping we could get that, and it should be all access. I'm again, fingers crossed. So we'll need some people to help out on that. So it'd be a great time. Um, so let's see. We covered the
Huts.
Jenny Wade house. We covered the secret VA location. We covered St. Albans. We covered the camp out for early or late spring, early summer. And one other place that I know we're going to get back into for show is going to be the Haldeman because um, you and I had an experience while we were at the Haldeman where we talked about this before, where we saw what we thought was a little boy. We saw him simultaneously, um, like at the exact same moment. After we had witnessed what we thought we saw, um, we heard what sounded like something running out of that room into the opposite room, up into the attic, and then we heard what sounded like a hard ball drop and roll across the floor. Unfortunately, at the time, we didn't know that we were allowed access to the attic because there was a sign saying, to keep out, and the place is kind of falling apart. So, and being that we're pretty solid guys, I didn't want to really run the risk, and I was actually yelling at you to come down because you were on your way up. I'm like, dude, get the hell down! Just get down. The staircase is going to fall or something. Just get down. But then we were told later that we were allowed to go up there, and I really wish I would have known that ahead of time because I would have followed you right up there, and we quite possibly could have caught something.
Yeah, it sounded like a marble, like a bigger one of the old, what were they, Whomper marbles, the bigger round ones.
The breaker
Breaker,
marble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sounded like one of those going across the floor.
To me, it sounded like a when you play pool, like a pool ball, or like one of those wooden croquet balls or something.
Yeah.
But a
But
ball nonetheless. Like you hear like a tick, 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 and then like a rolling.
yeah, and the way that floor was, and we were later up in the attic. There were no balls that would have rolled across the floor to make any noises up there. In
That
fact,
the floor was so
there's holes in the
shoddy.
floor. If
Yeah,
there was something rolling, it would have fallen on our heads.
But what I found really, really interesting about that is the house that I had lived in, the last house I owned, and yes, unfortunately, it was in Shenandoah.
Chenda.
Chendo 462. But when I was living there, I actually heard that same exact sound from the attic of that house, and I did not have a pool table. Actually, I had all my music gear up there. It was basically a jam room, and there was a carpet on it on the floor, so there was no way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, that could have happened, but it was very ironic. And another thing that I found ironic from the Haldeman is the one EVP. And ladies and gentlemen, you could go and listen to this EVP on our website under evidence. Chad actually did a great job at doing the video for that audio clip, and he amplified it. And you have to listen closely, but it sounds like a scream, or we had a gentleman with us during that investigation who was Facebook living a lot throughout the investigation, and we all just naturally assumed, and he was kind of loud at times and he would make noises, and I just assumed that it was him because he was in the control room and he was doing some of the Facebook live things, and I just naturally assumed it was him. And we confirmed with him it was not him whatsoever. We were able to go back and confirm it ourselves. So it was kind of weird because it almost sounded like a mountain lion, kind of like a wow, like just I don't know. But the ironic part about this is, again, the ball noise, I experienced that at a previous place that I lived. This sound I experienced when I was with my old group, Prey. We investigated the Elks Lodge in Tamaqua. We captured the same exact sound. So that, to me, makes me think, is there something in our recording devices that might make that sound? Is it like maybe the way we were holding it and our fingers rubbed it and it was just an odd sound? But the thing that makes me not think that is we physically heard that sound with our own ears. I heard it. Chad heard it. Russ heard it. He's another one of our team members. He heard it. So that alone is enough to make me think it wasn't an electronical malfunction or an interference with our devices, because we physically heard this noise. And it sounded like it was coming from another room.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of throws away the whole electronic device sound, because of the two similar sounds, is my camera, which has the world's worst audio.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Actually picks it up like it was right next to the camera when it happened, even though as it was one of those noises, folks, that we heard with our own ears, picked up on a digital recorder, picked up on our handheld camera, and sounded different, almost like to what we heard and the level of volume that we heard it at, to hear it on the EVP recorder or to hear it on the camera. Like I said, the camera has the world's worst audio. You could be talking right next to it and it not pick you up.
Yeah.
At times.
And that's unfortunate too, because it has the best quality video.
Yeah.
The video quality is phenomenal, but the audio blows.
Yeah, if you ever see the video, sometimes you'll see the lips moving and the audio's a hair off. It's basically because I take the audio from the handheld devices and use that over on the video, so you can actually hear what people are saying instead of just seeing lips move.
Yeah, well, you did a fine job at it, I tell you what.
Yeah, try. But it was the Pottstown Mercury, by the way, not the Phoenix Mercury.
Okay, all right, there you go.
Sorry, things bother me that are weird.
No, that's I know how it goes. But back to the Haldeman, we definitely want to go back there, because aside from that demon mountain lion and the what we thought we saw, we didn't really get much else in the way of evidence. Like I said before, it was kind of a bad situation because I was really sick. My mind wasn't in it. My mind wasn't really focused on what I was trying to do, and it was just an off night. It was an off night, but we did get some spirit box responses. But after we had went back and listened to it, they were too subjective, so we didn't really, the credibility on them or the validity on them, we didn't feel was strong enough. So I mean, we still have them marked, but the best stuff that we got was obviously what we have on our evidence page, and the physical experience that Chad and I had. So we want to go back there for sure, and plus there's a summer kitchen on the property that we didn't even get a chance to investigate because it just didn't happen. So we want to get back down there. We want to do some more stuff down there. And so we're looking forward to that. So we covered some things that we want to be, some places we want to investigate in 2018. And like I had said before, anybody out there who they themselves are experiencing weird things on the paranormal side, you saw something weird on the cryptozoological side, please reach out to us either on Facebook. You could find it, like I said, I'll throw the links up again here really quick. You could go to our Facebook page and contact us there on the contact page at www.explorersgroup.com. Check us, get in touch with us on Twitter at Explorers Group. Here on Facebook, facebook.com/explorers. I could never get that.
You did it. You did it that time. Good job, buddy.
Not well.
Well, it's better than backsplash.
Backsplash, y'all. What's the email address?
Explorers Seekers of the Truth at gmail.com. If you go to our website and click on the email icon, you can email through that.
Oh yeah, they'll go straight through. So basically, just go to our website. You'll find everything you need to get in touch with us there. You'll be able to see some of the evidence we have. And again, we're very subjective to the things that we find, and the stuff that we put on our website is the stuff that we find most interesting, that we either couldn't debunk or figure out, a logical explanation for. So I mean, there's not a ton of stuff out there, but there's stuff out there. And like I said, if you want to watch any of our previous shows, we have them out there too, or we have them on our YouTube page, which you could link to from the videos on the website. Anywho, so 2018 is hopefully going to be a very active year for the group. We're planning a lot more shows, live shows, like we try and do every week. We're planning what we hope to be a really great one. And I can I say the topic? I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think we actually said it last show that we were going to do it this week, but since we're working on that special thing.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
About the person?
No, about the show topic.
Oh, the Falk Monster?
Yeah, in Falk, Arkansas, which basically is the creature from one of the most notorious and memorable Bigfoot-esque movies, The Legend of Boggy Creek, which had a sequel and some other really bad
it's like up to 5 sequels now.
Yeah. The first 2 are more legit to the story. The other ones are more Hollywood bullshit. But
the first 2 are done by the guy who's from that area.
It's more of a pseudo documentary, and I think Smokey Crabtree was in that. And he was legitimately one of the real people, and he was the real person in the movie as well.
The way they did it was a lot of the reason why the acting seems so bad is because they used a lot of the townspeople to play the roles in the movie.
Townspeople, yeah.
But, so the acting's not the greatest, but it does hold a lot truer to the stories that people were telling at that time of their encounters. Mm-hmm. It's not as fictionalized. The guy who actually wrote it made two of the movies on Boggy Creek, made the Town That Dreads Sundown, which is the Texarkana Phantom Killer, and also was the writer of at least one of the Dirty Harry movies. The Are You Feeling Lucky, Punk? That line is actually written by the guy who did the Legend of Boggy Creek movies. Yeah, so
Learn something new every day.
yeah, that I've been to the area. I would love to go back there. Like the area is such an expanse of wilderness and bottomlands and swamp and river. Um, and it basically is like the whole thing. It basically this area runs Louisiana from almost over to Louisiana all the way through into Texas, through Arkansas, this area, Arkansas. Um, to me, if there is a Bigfoot, it the habitat wise would be perfect for it.
Right.
There's so much. There's waterways. There's plenty of food, plenty of shelter. It's not mountains like we have in Pennsylvania or the great up in the Northwest. But it is definitely an environment that would, it's a subtropic environment down there. So it's definitely an area where large primates live.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to go back there. I'd love to actually go hunt that area.
Yeah.
Not for Bigfoot, but actually like hunt a hog and stuff out of that area. Because you can hunt it from the Texas side in or from the Arkansas side over.
I thought we gave up going out hogging back in our early 20s.
No, I'm going hog hunting, not hogging. Two
Okay.
different concepts, my friend. I gave
My
that up
bad.
a long time ago.
My bad.
The place in Staunton, is that the one you can see it from 81 or 64 area? I'm sorry, whoever is saying that to us.
Lyric
the one
House
that-
Riding Group?
Yeah. Is that the one that sits off the highway that you can see? Help me.
There's a lag. It's going to take a couple minutes.
Yeah, we got to figure out the lag on this at times. I think I actually know this
just
place.
what it is.
Yeah. I think I've seen the place she's referring or he's referring to. I can't tell. But
Can't tell from the picture.
well, no, I'm looking at it on my phone screen, so because I can't see it on this screen when you have comments.
I can't click on the people through BeLive either. So and
No.
every time I try and open it up every time I try to open Facebook up while I'm on BeLive, we always get things to crash. So cool. Good information. Thank you very much. It's what we like to see. No, you don't want to go?
Oh, come on, Casey.
Don't be chicken.
Casey. Yeah, come on. Was that a yes to the location being the one you can see from the highway? Lag.
But anyway.
Okay. Yep, I know where that one is then. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. This is what we want. We want people to give us some information because we don't know all the places out there. And
there's places. Trust me, folks. There are new places that we learn about daily. Or you heard about it 10 years ago, and you heard about it one time, and you never thought of it again, and then all of a sudden says, "Have you guys ever been to this place?" And you're like, I remember hearing stories about this place, but I was never there. But thank you. I appreciate it. I just can't believe
we are well beyond our quote short show. our short show has now turned into what? An hour and a half?
We started at 9:35.
Yeah. It's almost 11 o'clock. So
yeah.
Cool. If you could send us that picture, we'd like to check it out. But anyways, like I said before, this show tonight was more or less just to talk about what we have planned for 2018, talk about some of the locations. There's some big places we're going to. There's some, on the paranormal side and the cryptozoological side we're trying to follow up on. We're getting some reports that we're trying to follow up on. But like I said, you guys know of anything, you hear of anything, you yourself, somebody you know, please get in touch with us. On our website, www.xplorersgroup.com, message us on Facebook. You could email us through the link on our website. Send us the information. We'd be more than happy to help, try and help you out. Or if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about on the show, feel free to get in touch, and maybe perhaps we could have you come on the show and join us for our live show. We'd love to have people on too. So we, like I said before, we're going to be working on next week's show, which is about the Falk monster in Falk, Arkansas, which inspired the movie Legend of Boggy Creek. 2018 should be good for our show as well, and we're working on hopeful syndications. There's big things in the works, and that's going to be part of the Explorers Media Group, which is another branch of our group here. So, anyways, it is late. I got my kids that got to go to school tomorrow. I got stuff to do tomorrow. I got to get to bed. So, everybody, thank you for joining in and listening. As always, Chad, thank you so much for always being here with me to do the show. And I'm going to say goodnight to everyone.
Yep. Like Les said, folks, check out the website. Les did an awesome, amazing job on that.
Thank you.
The stuff for the Haldeman investigation on our YouTube section where our evidence is here. There is some stuff included at the very end. I listened to it. I've listened to it a million times. I sometimes hear this, I hear that. I put it up there, you be the judge. Take a look at it. If you hear something, hey, shoot us a message. Tell us, hey, I was listening to your video, or comment on the video. Hey, I was listening and I heard it, that clip where you asked this, I hear it say this. Mm-hmm. Man, I have terrible hearing. I lost part of my hearing as a child. I got most of it back now as an adult. But my hearing is bad. At times, I cannot hear real well. So I can listen to audio at times and miss stuff completely. So if you ever get a chance, look at that stuff up. If you know of any group, conference, get together that is going on in an area that we like to go to, or that maybe we haven't been to, like a new conference that's coming up next year, let us know about it. We'll help advertise it for other people. We have a section on our website where we put up upcoming events and stuff like that. We try to keep it as up to date as possible. But if we don't get people sending us links to their stuff, it's hard. We're not going to sit here and spend hours every week searching it out to help somebody else out. But if you know somebody that's running an event, shoot us a message with a link to it, a date, a time, where it's at. We'll throw it up on our website to help them out. We'll even throw it up on Facebook. We and also, hey, if it's close enough, we may go ourselves to see what's going on and talk to some people and get ideas on stuff that they're doing. So I want to thank everybody for listening. I know it's a late night. I'm glad you guys all tuned in. To everybody I know that's fighting over the weekend, good luck. Do what you do. Everybody else, stay safe out there. Be safe. Be a good person. Peace.
All right, y'all. Good night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good night.
Yep. Night.